Made on Zencaster.
We do currently we're in the middle of doing free therapy, and aka short TED Talks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, TED TikTok? TED TikToks?
You're overthinking it.
Yeah, that one's gonna hurt you.
It's definitely not TED titties. It's not. It's. Ted,
I
it's
said
not,
TED TikTok. TED
oh,
TikTok.
I thought you said TED.
No.
I thought you said TED tits.
No.
Never mind.
No.
Sorry.
Get your head out of Boobatox, okay?
I'm going to throw that at the very beginning of our show. Dead tits. And just open with that.
Welcome to Zeo to Hero, where we talk about TED tits
Yeah.
and Boobatox.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Billy.
And I'm Jimmy.
We are the Bulk and Skull of podcasting, and we want to welcome you to the numbskullery that is the Zeo to Hero podcast.
Where creators and fans come together to share their love of their fandoms.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, I'd like to welcome in on this very special episode of Zeo to Hero. The only two people that I know that can give us a run for the money. All the way from the Power Trip podcast, Nathan and Michael.
Hey, guys.
And, if you see our podcast in Apple Podcasts, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it's theirs is their next recommended. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I should quote that meme. I see you're a man of culture. There you go,
Yeah.
iTunes. You did something right, finally.
More like a man of wealth and taste.
Yeah, there you go. And apparently, I see we're starting a band, Squabbling Hobos. That sounds great. I should warn you, I can't play instruments, and my singing voice would make anyone's ears bleed.
Hey, well, the plot twist, it's all air band, so it's all right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Airband I can do. I did airband in college, so yes. Yes.
Nathan is really good at playing the skin flute. I'll just say that.
Hey.
This coming from the guy who's only has two reasons for liking Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, and their names are Boobatox.
Hey, Boob 1 and Boob 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Skimpy clothing too. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, come on. Yeah, that's right.
So Jason runs around with a skin tight shirt on and brought out things to me I didn't think about.
So my name is Michael. I am one of the hosts of the Power Trip podcast, a journey through the Power Rangers franchise, along with my good friend Nathan Marchand here.
Yes.
And we are super stoked to be with you guys today. I don't know if we can quite give you a run for your money because I've heard your show and you guys are nuts. Let's just say that.
Speak for yourself, Michael. I came here with a 3-hour lecture prepared on the symbolism of astronomers' wigs.
If you think he's joking, he's not.
I completely
see a huge document on this.
You have to understand. I'm a recent master's student graduate, and I teach at university right now.
Sir, I need to see these Venn diagrams right now.
Do you have a solid?
Listen to our In Space episode, and it will all make sense.
I hope he has a really solid PowerPoint with like a laser pointer.
A PowerPoint?
Do you have transitions?
Yes. I drew it first.
Oh boy!
Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust.
Oh man! So I guess let me just ask y'all how did y'all get into this whole idea? Because I know that y'all have also different shows as well. Like, what inspired you to just get on and just preach it?
Well, I've been at this podcast game actually since about 2017. I started a kaiju and a very Godzilla-focused show some years ago. I now refer to that euphemistically as my previous podcast life because that ended very abruptly and very unhappily. And that's all I have to say on the matter. And then about a year later, in 2019, I launched another show while I was still in the middle of grad school because I'm insane.
Okay, yeah.
It's called the
Makes
Monster
sense.
Island Film Vault. So I got back into the podcast game. And for a couple of months there after I started it, I was, I had a few other podcast friends, but none of them were in the kind of the tokusatsu community. And I started, making some new friends over the next couple of months. And then Michael was actually a listener of mine in those early days, and then I'll have him explain the story in more
So
detail.
wait, Michael got pulled in as the free help, right?
No, actually,
not quite.
not quite. But I'll let him explain his part of the story there. But basically, at that point, he had become what was intended to be the temporary co-host on Kaiju Weekly, and they had an episode coming up that they wanted to have a guest on, and Michael said, "Hey, how about we have Nathan on?" And then we did, and then it was all downhill from there. So,
Nice.
But as for the power trip, that came about because Michael is one of the brains behind Kaiju Ramen Magazine, and he wanted to write a series of articles. And I'll explain why. I'll let him explain why he wanted to do this, but he wanted to write a series of articles going through each of the eras of Power Rangers. And because he had been bitten by the podcast bug, he decided, well, let's do a podcast as
I thought you were going to let me explain this.
Yes,
Yeah,
Michael, please
I'm not
explain.
giving all the
Please.
details,
Right,
but that's
fine.
the basic.
I feel like you're doing
genesis
broad
of it.
strokes right now.
I am doing so good at explaining my own show.
Yeah,
It's a great
it's
job.
fine. But no, I joke with Nate, but I started podcasting in 2019 as well. This was like December, November of 2019 or something like that. I had no interest in podcasting. So I started listening to several like just Godzilla kaiju focused podcasts because that's also a genre that I participate in. And I come across this show called Kaiju Weekly, hosted by myself and my good friend Travis. And I wrote into the show and was like, "Hey, I like it. Can you answer these questions?" And eventually Travis said, "If we keep answering these questions from this random guy in West Virginia, we're going to have him on." And so eventually they had me on. Travis and I really hit it off. And so I became the permanent co-host of a show called Kaiju Weekly, where we celebrate the monster genre and all its silly, serious, and everything else in between forms. So Nathan already told you the part of his story where we did an episode of, I think it was like State of the
Fandom, yeah.
Yeah, State of the Fandom or something like that. Some hokey little idea that we came up with. And I had heard Nathan's show, the Monster Island Film Vault, as I was researching other podcasts about this about that genre to listen to. And I became very attached to his because his has a very it's not just analytical, it's not just a review show, but it's also an audio drama mixed in with that as well.
Yeah.
So I became enamored by his show and we invited him on. We had a conversation. We all hit it off. Now, here's the fun part that Nathan was trying to alluding to. My audio sounded like complete shit on that episode. And my audio sounds like complete trash. And I come up with this stupid idea of, I'm in quarantine. This is before actual quarantine, mind you. I'm in quarantine and I'm
before the dark times, before the COVID.
I'm in this bubble on Monster Island because I took a wrong flight and now I have to record from this podcast or from this bubble on a fictitious island somewhere full of monsters. And it just kind of spitballed from there. And there was like a lot of like creative ideas. I know I'm distilling it down because it's a long story and
it is. It's a long story,
there's a lot of story beats.
Yeah. Just to give it a little bit more context, I started the Film Vault with just kind of this goofy idea because when I was in college, I interned at a radio station. So I thought, what can I do to make the show distinct? So I decided, how about I do it like it's a radio show? And then I thought, well, how about I say I'm actually on Monster Island where all of the kaiju hang out in Godzilla films. And it was just meant to be just this setup so I can make some reference jokes here and there. But then I ended up giving myself a producer sidekick character who would interrupt me on the show. and it was a character from a little-known Toho movie, and then it just kept ballooning to the point where, as more people kept listening, they would actually create characters, and they would appear on the show. Michael has played several characters on the show, including my nemesis, or at least my most immediate nemesis.
Yes.
So,
A snooty little British man called WHG3. William H. George III, by the way. Georgie boy, if you're feeling nasty.
Yeah, but before at this point, but then the thing became, because the Kaiju Weekly was the first kaiju first kaiju podcast I guested on since I started the show. So I was trying, how do I handle guest star appearances? So I decided I'm not breaking the kayfabe. I'm going to go on, because I basically, when you hear me on the Film Vault, I'm playing a fictionalized version of myself. So I don't break the kayfabe most of the time when I go on other podcasts. So when I went on there, I'm like, yeah, flew here from Monster Island and crazy things happened. And then he decided to play along with it. And so, yeah, he was stuck on the island while I was here. And
for those listening to the audio version of this show, I'm doing scare quotes fictionalized version of it.
By fictionalized, I mean me cranked to 11, sometimes 12.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Cranked down from 15 to 11, right?
But
for you guys, you get 22. I'm just.
Oh no!
This is your 22. Okay.
Yeah, so to fast forward, just to keep it concise, just to fast forward a little bit, I've been doing Kaiju Weekly for about 2 years with Travis, and then I decided, as I'm diving into the Ranger, back into the Ranger franchise, because I started rewatching all of Power Rangers back in May of 2020 during quarantine, and it started out as a whim. I'm like, I haven't seen Power Rangers in probably 20 years, 15 years.
You were on Netflix. Okay, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Exactly.
Yeah, for the 5 minutes it was still on.
Yeah,
right?
Pretty much.
Netflix Live.
So the more I kept watching, the more enamored I became with it, and as a 35-year-old adult, I started picking up on some things that I didn't notice as a kid. So that kind of piqued my interest, and so I decided I wanted to write an article series for the magazine that I helped create called Kaiju Ramen, that kind of explores that franchise in more detail. And then the more I started to think about it, I was like, well, you know what? What if we did a podcast that acted as a companion piece to the article series that I'm going to be writing, just to expand on these series even more? And so after I reached out to a few friends, they all turned me down except for Nathan. So now I'm stuck with Nathan to do the show.
It is a privilege to podcast with me, sir. I'm very selective about who I collaborate with. You're on the short list.
But in all honesty, I know I bust his balls a lot, but honestly, Nate,
and I bust him right back.
Nate is probably one of the best co-hosts I've ever interacted with, because he can match the level of enthusiasm for this franchise just the same as me, because I love it. Like, I unabashedly love the Ranger.
Well, and here's the interesting thing is that I blame Michael for having me rediscover this, because I told myself a few years ago that we live in this golden age when everything Tokusatsu is getting released or re-released. Yeah. And it's just, I was just like, okay, everything is out there now. I'm going to have to pick one, because I love superheroes too. I grew up loving superheroes. So I'm like, okay, superheroes and kaiju and all this stuff is coming. And so I just told myself, okay, you need to pick one that you're going to dive into fully, because I know myself well enough to know that, like, when I start something and I like it, I will not stop.
You don't want to spread yourself too thin on it.
Yeah, so I said, okay, here's my choice. I'm going to pick Ultraman, and then I will dabble in the others, because I don't have enough time in my life, I feel like, to get into all of them. And then there was a point I was texting with Michael, and I was telling him that I wanted to add a character to the cast of the Film Vault that would be, because I have, at the time, it was supposed to be this just offhand remark. There is a board of directors that runs everything on the island, and they slowly evolved into these unseen nemeses for my MIFV Nate.
Real quick, do we need to get the spoiler warning territory or no?
No, don't worry about it. So So I said, okay, I need ideas for this. I'm thinking about doing a legacy character as the head of PR for the island, but I want it to be somebody who is kind of like, could be evil, but not really evil. And he said, how about Astronema? Oh, you mean the villain from Power Rangers in Space? Because I had hardly thought about anything Power Rangers in years. So I'm like, okay. So I looked up a picture of her. I'm like, oh, okay, that might work. Well, I guess I better watch the show if I'm going to write this character, because I don't really remember a whole lot. And I haven't come back. So, so I watched all of In Space. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to have to go watch what came before, aren't I? And then I heard about the Power Purge. And then I literally went through Alien Rangers through Turbo in less than a month.
Oh, man.
Wow,
All right.
wow. Yeah.
Because it was all going away. Because I'm like, Mighty Morphin stands, but I'll watch these for now. And yeah, so that became a bonding moment for Michael and I. So at this point, we're calling each other up and having these conversations. And so we've joked several times on the Power Trip.
You're dreaming about spandex and multicolors and chrome fitting helmets.
Yeah. So we've joked several times on the podcast that the Power Trip is just us putting our private conversations to record.
And it pretty much is. It's pretty much what you hear on the Power Trip, except for just a little bit of strategic editing, because sometimes those very sometimes those very intimate thoughts just don't need to make it on air. Let's just say that. Especially
the stories he told me about his teenage fantasies about Kim. Oh, geez, that is not suitable for any ears.
Look,
that one time at band camp.
that one time at band camp, there was this girl. Her name was Kimberly, and all of my
a lot of Vaseline.
No, okay, but seriously, it's
let's just say he likes telling the story about how Amy Jo Johnson ushered him into manhood.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
Oh boy, okay, we're this is a family show, Nate. Come on,
be fair. I will throw this out there. The first time Billy showed up, not Billy over here, but David Yo showed up in a tank top, I discovered some things about myself real quick. I was like, all right.
And that's, you know what? That's fair. That's totally fair.
Because Billy Cranston is the buffest nerd ever.
Oh my God. Like, I was like, glasses.
Which is funny because, as you guys probably know, if you listen to our intro episode, one of the early drafts, shall we say, of Power Rangers would have used a different Sentai, would have used Bioman, and Billy Cranston was supposed to be some Jim Hound heartthrob.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't they reuse some of the ideas for like the Evil Ranger for like season 1 or something like that, where Billy and Kimberly were evil?
Oh,
from that one. I don't know. I just derailed the whole conversation. It's fine.
Are you talking? Well, are you talking about when? What is that episode? But when Billy and Kim come to high school dressed in this punk getup, is that what you're talking about?
That's the one.
Yeah, I don't think so, but I would have to go do a little bit of research on that. I know that if anyone's ever watched the unaired pilot of Power Rangers,
which was our backdoor pilot on Henshin Men, one of my other podcasts.
Yeah. So if anyone's ever watched the backdoor pilot to Power Rangers, it's on YouTube. You can go watch it. It was a part of like the 20th anniversary or 15th anniversary special or something like that. And you can kind of see where they were making some adjustments based on some old footage of like Bioman and things that they were going to do prior to settling with Zyuranger. So it's just a really interesting history behind where they started, like that halfway point of they were almost there, and then where we finally ended up. It's just a really interesting story.
I remember. Do you remember the Micro Machines?
Yes. Yes.
So the Jason Micro Machine figure had the shirt from the unaired pilot, the white shirt with the red lines on it. They never put him in a real red shirt. It was always that shirt. I don't know why. Like, I always remember that going, why do they use that shirt?
Oh man.
Yeah.
They always wear red shirts.
Yeah, when we covered that on Henshin Men, I said this is what happens when you film the first draft.
Yeah.
Except we found out it's actually the second. So because they got as far, I think they apparently filmed the pilot for Bioman, but the only part of it you can find anywhere is what's basically the opening credits sequence.
That's
and
about it. Yeah,
is weird.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've seen that. And every time I saw when I saw it, I was like, that's okay.
Well, here's a question that I heard, and it bugs me, and I'm gonna see if it bugs y'all. But
Sure, go
to
ahead.
live in Angel Grove or to own or operate a business of any sort in Angel Grove, what would be the insurance rates?
Oh, they would offer kaiju insurance
Yes.
just like in Japan.
Like,
Yeah,
I feel
it's-
like at that point it would become a
Yeah.
tax scheme.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, I have this insurance, you pay up, and then
Yeah.
the insurance companies will get money from the government, and it just get out of hand real quick.
Well, it would probably turn into something more like in Pacific Rim, where you have like kaiju scalpers and kaiju extortionists.
Oh, that's
so,
right.
So something like that.
I
would
just want to
probably happen.
see, first off, who would be crazy enough to move to Angel Grove? I'm just saying. But can you imagine someone buying a house in Angel Grove? Some young couple just got married, bought their first house, moved to Angel Grove because one of them got a great job, and he's sitting there, and they're finalizing the deal on the house, and they say like, "Hey, what's this? What power insurance? What's this? Is this a brand?" They're like, "No, that's for in case the Power Rangers show up and accidentally wreck your house." Oh, does that happen a lot? You don't pay attention to the news, do you?
I feel like with the current economics of house buying, it would be a great deal. It's like, how much is the house? Sold. Done. You
Yeah.
care? No, I don't care.
You know,
It's-
the real estate market in Angel Grove is not that great.
No.
You know, one thing.
You want to be a homeowner.
They pay people to live in the houses. It's
like
like
Alaska.
Detroit, but 10 times worse. You know.
One thing that's really always funny about the franchise is after everything that this town and the Rangers have been through, you always have that one person in Angel Grove, and sometimes it's Ernie, says, "Oh, there's no way that a monster, there's no way it could be aliens." I'm like, really, guys?
Did you forget what universe you're in?
Yeah.
Were
Like,
you not outside like 10 minutes ago when there was another monster that attacked?
Yeah.
And
and
we
it's
had
like,
giant mechas outside fighting each other. What happened with that? Do you think we made this? We can barely do tanks right. How do you think we're going to do a Mechazord? Like, how are we going to do this?
what brought that up was when we were talking about Zeo, and we were talking about the serials that were leading up to the debut of Zeo.
Oh,
And
yeah.
And one of the serials was actually it was Bulk and Skull. They were coming to Ernie like, "We saw an alien," and Ernie looks at them deadpan. It's like, "You're crazy. There's no such thing as aliens. I'll believe in aliens when the governor comes on and tells me something's wrong." And then like a second later, "Newsflash coming in from our governor: we have aliens that are attacking Earth." Come on, guys! Like, do you realize? Like Jim said, do you realize what universe you're in? Really?
I feel
my
like
rant. How do you think spandex can protect people like that? It's not going to happen.
I feel like an alien invasion destroying buildings with giant robots would be covered by every news media source, even InfoWars and Alex Jones. You know, I feel like it'd be on there.
I'm telling you, there's aliens out there in Angel Grove, and one of them is led by a space witch, and then we got the gold armored flying monkey guy. Yeah,
And these monkeys-
it's crazy, man.
they're-
And there's something
Oh,
about the frogs in Angel Grove too.
Yeah.
If you
Oh,
see
but-
some of the monsters that come out and fight there,
You got to buy my Mangrow.
Yeah, you gotta-
Mangrow
you gotta buy
pills.
supplements.
Mangrow pills.
Oh
Protect
god!
yourself.
You know,
And we have just entered into the level of Alex Jones.
Yes.
I would like to see. I would love, honestly, I would, and this is crazy talk, but I would love to see like an Alex Jones type character canonized in the Ranger franchise somewhere. They could do
Do
it in the
not.
comics.
oh,
Give
why
these
not?
people
Why not?
ideas.
Why not? Dino Fury has BuzzFeed.
Buzz Blast. No, it's
Yeah,
Buzz
Buzz
Blast.
Blast. Yeah,
Buzz
Buzz Blast.
Yeah.
Why not? Just throw in Alex Jones proxy while you're at it. Who doesn't believe? Who wants who's just like all of his so-called conspiracy theories are just him recapping old episodes of Power Rangers.
I'm so down for that.
So did you hear about what happened at the high school where they had in Angel Grove? They're having a party and suddenly a giant pig head in a Roman Centurion helmet just came in and ate everything. Tell you.
What happened with this wave of light? Why are there more monsters now? I thought they were supposed to be gone. What happened? I don't believe it. We never went to the moon.
The government is hiding something from us, damn it!
Adventure, I call bull.
Remember that moon mission a few years ago when those guys came back and they were absolutely terrified? They couldn't tell us anything. I know that those are the idiots that let out the space witch. And I'm telling you right now, they need to be put away for years. Right now. We would not be having any of these problems if they did not pull the lid off of that dumpster.
The statue is leaking fluid. Just
Why is American astronauts Japanese?
Why don't their lips match the words?
Why do they move their heads when they're fucking? Why?
And then there was that really weird one. I heard this story from a guy who saw this. Eyewitness. I'm telling you right now. So the Rangers go and they meet these weird psycho-looking guys. And then one of them gets kicked into a warehouse and mysteriously disappeared. I'm telling you, another dimension. Yeah. Kicked so hard, going to another dimension. Everything looked a little bit more washed out. I don't know why.
I'm a little worried that your Alex Jones impersonation is very good.
I'm a little bit worried myself. It's like,
that's
like this could be an actual thing. I swear,
I don't watch all that much Alex Jones, and what Alex Jones I do see is just him. And what Alex Jones I do here is him guesting on other shows. So,
oh
my God.
We're not condoning that you should start this show, but if this becomes part of your series,
we're gonna keep Alex Jones so far away from our show. It's gonna be ridiculous.
The sad part is Alex Jones's warehouse is like probably 30 minutes from me.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Now this begs the question. Is that where he's hiding the Ark of the Covenant now? I have to know.
Well, legend says, probably is.
Because apparently the Ark of the Covenant is the original Z-Wave, but it only works on Nazis. So,
as it should.
Diverting from this.
Yes.
This went off the rails real quick. I'm so sorry.
To our handful of listeners who thoroughly enjoy our off the railness, don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have friends who run a podcast called Derailed Trains of Thought. I'm used to this.
Oh.
To be fair, a couple episodes before this one, we went into dancer belts. From dancer belts, we ended up on brownies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to look at the transcription of that episode.
I want to know where that connection came from, but I'm sure we don't have time.
Don't worry, just listen to the Master Force episode from Zero to Hero. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, all right,
if you want to watch the Behind the Mics on Mondays. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
On our YouTube channel. Yeah.
Oh,
shameless plugging. Yep,
look.
That is one of my spiritual gifts, sir.
It's true. It is true. But just to bring it back to what we actually were talking about before we got on the topic of Alex Jones.
Yeah.
We're 30 minutes into this. And you've only covered like the intro to your show.
Right. Exactly. So long story short, I don't even know what I've said at this point. Long story short, the power trip started as just a way for me to love on the franchise that I grew up with and wanted to celebrate through a podcast. And I drug Nathan here on the ride. So it's been a lot of fun so far. We just recorded our Turbo and In Space episode. So those should be coming out very soon. Our next episode out at the time of this recording is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, which is a classic in and of itself.
Adam's a frog. I totally get it, man.
Yeah.
We actually didn't talk about that
Yeah.
part all that
We
much,
spent a lot
weirdly
of-
enough. Yeah, we talked about some other things like the goddess that is
The
Dulcia.
Ivan Ooze quotes got me. Like as a kid, I didn't get it. I was like, oh.
Where's my
I was like, oh, that's kind of funny.
autograph
Ha,
book?
ha, ha. I went back and rewatched it, and like all his quotes are amazing.
I just want to hear all of the
I
unused
would
takes
love
that
that.
they used before Aisha did the crotch
Oh,
kick
yeah.
of doom.
Yeah.
Because I've heard they were not PG, and I'm curious.
behind the scenes, Power Rangers, the original movie.
Yeah, Power Rangers After Dark.
Yeah,
Oh, there you
that's-
go. Yeah,
Power Rangers After Dark. That's where they're gonna debut that. But no, we spent a lot of time talking about Ivan Ooze and just that whole thing. Like I was reading the visual arts book a couple weeks ago, and in the section where it talks about the movie, they said that they had like a little bit of a script for Ivan for
Yeah.
Ooze, but they essentially just left the actor to do what he wanted to do and ad lib exactly how he wanted to, and that's what we're presented with. We get like the whole line of with the Brady Bunch reunion.
I love
That was
line.
that was totally ad libbed.
The
Like that
Black
was him
Plague,
making it stuff.
The Brady Bunch reunion.
Well, this is news to me.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
So
That's
you
cool.
know, the guy who played Ivan is the priest from Hot Fuzz.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
He's all.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
He's also
I need
one
to
of
watch
the. If
Hot
I'm not
Fuzz
mistaken, he's
again.
also one of the Nazis in Raiders. Correct.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Very,
wow.
very
Oh.
well talented actor.
Oh, he is.
Oh.
Yeah, he has a really good pedigree as far as like being an actual actor.
Okay, it's like when you see that movie, it's like you have that thought, the same thought you had when you watched Good Burger. Dave Lagota, how the hell do you get in this? How did they get you for this? Why are you here?
Oh, I was gonna say it's always fun to like watch a show and actually see other characters that played in the Power Rangers movies or the TV series and other shows too. It's always fun to see that because you get to see the wide variety of how they act too.
Well, Bryan Cranston voiced several
Oh yeah.
early
Oh, yeah.
villains in the
Yeah,
original
Eye
series.
Guy, and I know for sure.
Snizzard. He was the voice of
few of 'em.
Snizzard.
Yeah, and then he ended up playing Zordon in your favorite movie. So
You're not
did
going
you,
there.
Did you watch Breaking Bad?
I did, yes.
The entire first season of Breaking Bad, did you think he was just going to do something really funny the entire time? Were you just waiting for it?
I was.
I was waiting for it. I
I
was like,
was.
come on, where's he going to do something funny? It's Malcolm's dad. Come on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the whole like
Well-
I got on the Breaking Bad train late. Like I did not see Breaking Bad until it hit Netflix. And
You were really late on that one. Yeah.
yeah, I was really late on it. And I was like, me and my ex-wife were just kind of looking for something to watch. And we decided to watch Breaking Bad. And I ended up loving it. I love serialized shows like that.
Wow.
Like, you know, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, just stuff. I love stuff like those slow burn television shows.
Yeah.
Which is why we appreciate certain things like, you know, In Space, where it is a little bit more serialized.
it's
And
very
everything-
serialized.
And it all links together in some way. There's like there is a through line throughout that entire season. Whereas in the past seasons, it's like you might get a handful of multi-parters, but the rest is just not quite all linked together all that well.
That's actually why I've been liking the comics a lot too, is the
Absolutely,
fact that comics will fill in those gaps really well. Like they still have the monster of the week kind of thing, but it fills in the gaps. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Keep bringing this to me. I want more of this. And then it fills up the lore. And then, the comics, Boom Comics are nailing this.
I would say, like, because there's this talk now of a new Ranger film coming out in 2023 or 2024. So I'm curious if they will just take what Boom Comics has been doing and adapt it to the big screen, or maybe even do it through their television show. Whatever that television show is going to look like next year or the year after. I know the rumor is, this has not been confirmed, that the relationship between Hasbro and Toei is going to be done this year. So there won't be any Sentai footage used at all, which kind of lends credence to the fact that Toei is doing some really ridiculous things. With
Oh my
Super
gosh,
Sentai.
yes.
That new series thing that they're doing.
Dawn
Dawn Brothers.
Dawn Brothers. Yeah, thanks, Nathan.
Yeah, is that the one with like the 3 animated like Rangers
Yes.
and then?
Yes. Well, I think it's
I'm
I
not
think it's
mad.
just 2.
Yeah.
I think it's just 2. I think there's the fox or the dog or something. I think
The
it's
Black
a fox.
Ranger, the Blue Ranger, and the Yellow Ranger. No, the Pink Ranger are all animated.
Well,
and
the Blue
yellow
Ranger's
and
a
red-
suit, a wearable suit.
Yeah,
Oh,
the Blue
okay.
Ranger is a wearable suit because it looks kind of like a baboon.
Yeah.
It looks like kind of like a monkey. And if you look, and what's funny is, I was telling this to Nathan. If you look at the photos of those suits on the back of the blue one, his butt is red.
Yeah.
Kinda
It
like-
is.
It's got baboon butt. Yeah.
Yeah.
What killed it for me was the fact that Red Ranger has a man bun, and my hair's long enough to where I wear a man bun a lot, and
Okay.
I'm like, all right.
You do
No.
you, man.
That
Like,
doesn't sit well with me. I don't care. Like I was like, no.
Hey,
I'm good.
I've seen enough Power Rangers to know that there have been some ridiculous haircuts that have somehow fit into those helmets. I'm just saying.
What? Like the helmet has a man bun on it, and I'm like,
Oh, never
Oh,
mind.
yeah. Yeah.
That's what- yeah,
So that's just weird. So they built in a man bun hole for.
no, an actual
No, no,
man
no,
bun.
no, it's
Like,
an actual-
it's a
no.
solid man bun.
yes, the helmet
Piece of,
has
like,
an
helmet.
actual piece that looks like a man.
What
bun
was
on top of
what
it.
was that Toei show made a few years ago that was basically a parody of Super Sentai, but it wasn't a Super Sentai, and they did that.
Abby Ranger, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. But then they were weird and actually had those characters show up in a Super Sentai crossover movie. So I guess they're canon now. Good Lord, Toei, what are you
I love
doing?
that show.
And
I
that
love
was
the, I like
yeah,
the
they had
fact
like
that the
ridiculous. They had
crossdresser
helmets
is
with
actually, like, a
ridiculous
girl.
anime hair. So it's,
Oh, I know.
The
what
Red
you're
Ranger
talking-
was emo, like not emo, but he looked emo. The Yellow Ranger was like super mean, and then the Blue Ranger, I think it was a crossdresser who became a girl in the suit, something like that.
Okay.
I think it was super weird and progressive for Japan.
Right, exactly. Which I am totally in the camp of thinking that Toei is just doing things with the mindset of there is no way those Americans are going to be able to adapt this. This is our thing now. So you've had your time for the
Like-
last 30 years.
which
You
is
had your time
funny
last-
because I
like-
thought
Yeah.
they liked Power Ranger money, but okay.
I mean,
They like
but
some
who-
bond money.
they like Saban money, but here's the thing: Hasbro will probably wind up doing its own, its
Yeah,
own Power
probably.
Ranger thing, most likely, because one, it would probably be more they have the money to spend on production,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
two,
Oh my God.
it's probably more cost effective for them in the long run because they don't have to pay those royalties.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
they
they
don't
got to
have to.
pay a lot. And
Yeah.
I feel like at some point, I understand that when Power Rangers launched, Saban using the footage was one, so he could adapt it, and two, was done for practical reasons so they could save some money.
They can save a
But
lot
I
of
feel
money on
like
the
at
filming.
I feel like at some point in the production of all of these shows in the history of the franchise, it just got to the point where it's like we're just doing it because it's tradition.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
not
well,
for,
look at
for no
look
other
at
reason.
Disney. Disney got their hands on it, and they just kept doing it. And they have money to throw around. It's Disney. They bought Star Wars with couch money. That's that they did. They went to George
Yeah.
Lucas. Is like, just tell us when to stop writing zeros. That's how they bought Star Wars, and they kept doing it with that. And so they moved the production to New Zealand and still kept using the Super Sentai footage. But I think it was tradition at that point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. They also moved Power Rangers filming from New Zealand to Canada for this
Dino-
next
for-
series.
Dino
sorry,
Fury?
for Dino Fury.
Oh,
is
After
that-
Dino
okay.
Fury. The last adaptation is going to
Okay.
be
Maybe
filmed in Canada.
Like I think I saw the thing that was supposed to be the gems or something like that, the rocks or something like that.
Oh,
I
was
don't know.
that?
I'm not too sure.
Oh, what is that one called?
I wanted the trains.
oh God.
I thought
They
the train
can't.
concept was
They
cool.
can't. They can't.
Yeah.
You know what? They need to readapt.
What's
Go
the
Tiger.
one they
That's what
wanted-
they should do. Readapt that.
Which one? Which one is it? Is the one with cops and robbers?
That's
one?
Lupin Ranger or something like that.
Lupin,
They can't
it's-
do that one.
Yeah, Lupin Ranger.
It's Lupin
can't.
Ranger versus something.
Like the
I can't-
police rangers. That's
Yeah.
Lupin versus the police. I can't remember what the police is
Basically.
called.
Yeah.
But yeah, they can't use that here because then it depicts rangers as bad guys, and so
Yeah.
they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's what Saban said, and I'm pretty sure Hasbro's sticking with that.
Mhm.
Pretty sure.
What's the one with the galaxy? Like they're called Key
that
Ranger.
one, the one like the cast of like
They
25.
want to try to adapt that. Yeah, and the fans are like wanting them to do it, but thing is like with how we do the episodes here, like we only have what
Something like
44
that,
episodes
Yeah,
or so.
with Nickelodeon. Yeah, Nickelodeon. They're supposed to going with. They're supposed to leaving Nickelodeon and going to Netflix, right?
Yeah, they're going to be
They're
totally.
already transitioning there.
Yeah, they're a
With that, the
totally
Netflix
Netflix
isn't
exclusive thing now.
Netflix don't care. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
you want to do 8 1-hour-long movies? All right, cool. Look at
Sure,
The Witcher.
that's fine.
Look at the
Yeah.
money they threw at The Witcher.
Sure.
Look at that.
Oh,
my God.
the money that they threw at The Witcher is ridiculous. I was
Yeah.
watching season 2 the other day, and it is drastically a step up from season 1. And what I really, and this is sort of this is a rabbit trail, but what I really have enjoyed about The Witcher is a lot of the use of practical effects as well as the CGI. Like I
Yeah,
can
at this
appreciate that.
point, Netflix
Oh.
is just desperate to get themselves some sort of a franchise that they can
They can stick
just
to.
they can stick to and milk
with.
it because they've been trying and they have been
Look what they do with Stranger
failing.
Things.
Yeah, so look
Stranger
at when
Things
they've
is
tried to
pretty much-
adapt to anime. Oh, that went over well. Yep,
Oh yeah, yeah.
totally
yeah.
went well. So they are desperate to find their
Yeah.
MCU at this
Yeah.
point, and I think that they're
So-
hoping that
so the
Power
PR
Rangers is going to
Well,
be
they got
that for them.
that one guy. They got that one dude who directed that one. Oh dang it! It's that one series. I'm Not Okay. That one. I don't think.
Oh,
yeah. Like I'm not okay with the girl with the superpowers. And, like she's not okay, and like it was really good. It was really good. And he's like, well, I wanted to build this whole series around it, and like all the other stuff. And it was really well done for one season.
Mhm.
And Hasbro was like, I think it's Hasbro or Netflix was like, do you want to head up the Power Rangers multiverse? And he's like, yes.
Oh,
No.
what is his name? Oh,
I don't remember.
Entwistle.
That's who it is. Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
like that show he did. I'm Not Okay was fantastic. Like it was awkward and like super powered and really well story driven with like all these little feelers for other stuff that could totally play off. But the whole season, once it ended, like you felt like it was complete. You're like, oh, this is good, but there's so much more that could be done.
Right.
But it doesn't need to. Oh, it was great. I recommend it. Watch it. It's good.
Okay. Well,
Hand movements.
well, we do a lot of hand movements on. Like you don't see it most of the time, but I do a ton of
Yeah.
hand.
Let me tell you, I talk like an Italian, but I have no Italian in me. I don't know how that happened.
Let's bring you together with the Sams. It's okay. The Sams. Oh
Well,
my-
that actually leads into a really good question. I'll ask you two, because I think this is something Nathan and I have talked. Nathan and I have talked about this before.
At length?
at length, at pretty long length.
3 hours on astronomers' wigs. I'm just saying.
But like, how do you guys feel about an adaptation of Power Rangers that leans a little bit more into a more mature area? Like, should they keep it
I'm all
like
for it.
should they keep it like super kid friendly, or should they have a separate franchise for just adults, or try to merge the
Yeah.
two?
I would love to have an animated version for like the kids, and then have like the Netflix version
Mhm.
for the more mature.
Here's the
And
thing.
then that'd be pretty
Okay,
cool because
here's
it'd
the
be a
thing. I'm
lot.
not opposed to taking the franchise in that direction, although I'm sure you guys are familiar with Power Rangers Unauthorized, that little fan film that got released like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
really fun.
where
Yeah.
apparently
Yeah.
it was meant to be satire and nobody realized it was satire.
That doesn't
Yeah.
seem like satire to me.
It was fun. I liked it, but
yeah, but
whatever.
anyway, I'm sure some people would say that's the direction they need to go. Here's the
No.
thing, but here's the thing I'm looking at though. I'm looking at, especially if it's Netflix doing this, I'm looking at what they tried to do with Cowboy Bebop,
Yeah.
where it just felt like when they say
yeah, that
mature, they mean written by 12-year-old boys who just hit puberty and discovered swearing.
Yeah.
That's what and I'm like, that's not what I want. Okay. Now what I would
No.
like to see is something like the Power Rangers audio drama that Carl Dutton has been doing for the last, how long is it now, Mike? At least 2 years now, I
It's
think.
been at least about 2 years. Yeah, they're on season. They're getting ready to. They're getting ready to wrap up season 3, I think.
2.
2. Okay.
Did y'all read Aftershock?
I haven't read Power Rangers Aftershock. Is that right? Or
Yeah, Power Rangers
Okay.
Aftershock.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
how about this? Instead of that, let me rephrase it. Have you read Radiant Black?
No.
Okay. So how Radiant Black does it, I kind of want to see a show like that, where it's more adult oriented, but it's not like drugs, alcohol, and sex. It's
Sure.
not just that. It's not overly done. It's more the dude's down on his luck because he can't get a job in LA and he's an Uber driver and he's freaking broke, so he has to move back in with his parents
Sure.
in a different state. So he has to leave, give up all his hopes and dreams, go back, and then he gets powers through the Radiant Black series, and it goes from there. And every the first guy he meets who has powers similar to his is robbing banks.
Mhm.
That's what his thing is. He's like, oh, I'm robbing banks. No one can stop me. It's fine.
Remind me,
Something
who
like
wrote
that.
this? Who
The
wrote
same
this?
dude who did Shattered Grid. The guy who was running Shattered Grid.
Ryan Parrott.
Yeah, that dude. He's one writing it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I would like to see a Power Ranger series more like that, where it's
Okay.
a little bit more adult oriented, a little bit grittier, a little bit dirtier, but not over the top. Makes any sense?
I know it makes perfect sense because I think that there are ways that you could adapt even Shattered Grid into a likable, more mature more adult, mature oriented.
I just need competent writers. To be fair with you.
Yeah. You could definitely adapt that, and to Jim's point, there is a difference between mature and adult and just and whatever and all that stuff. Like I'm with you. I don't want just a bunch of immature people that just want to throw.
You and I have
Let's have
talked
blood everywhere. No, man.
Yeah. Because you and I have talked about this, Michael. I mean, we've talked about that in private about a couple of Power Ranger seasons, but we actually got into it when we talked about In Space, and we said that In Space is remarkably grown up compared to what came before. And we like using the term grown up, not mature, not adult, because saying it like that in that context carries baggage and connotations that we're not trying to get at. But when you say grown up, that's what we're getting at. And for a few years after In Space, I feel like Saban was actually aiming the show a little bit more in that direction, because you'll notice
Galaxy, Time Force, Lightspeed Rescue were a little bit more matured up.
Yeah, because you'll notice
they weren't high school anymore.
They were young adults. Yeah, like you get to Lightspeed Rescue, and we're not dealing. I mean, you see it a little bit in Lost Galaxy, where we have basically like 18-year-olds who just enlisted in the military or whatever, and then you get to Lightspeed Rescue, and it's full-fledged, for the most part, like young adult 20-somethings who are working real jobs. Okay, they're not in high school anymore.
Now, the question with the adaptation that you're talking about, you know how every season has like a comic relief kind of people. Now, the only suggestion I would have for that, if you put a comic relief into the Netflix series, I just suggest that you put Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles off of Trailer Park Boys. That's who I want in there.
Terrible.
Oh boy. Well, but one thing that they definitely need to make sure they do is don't make the villains jokes, because if you undermine your villains, you undermine everything.
Before I get really into this one, Radiant Black is done by Kyle Higgins.
That's what I knew. I was thinking it was Kyle Higgins.
Okay. Sorry, I had to throw a correction in there because I've been wrong about that before, because he's really good at it.
It's because it's easy. Well, it's easy to get. It's easy to get the two confused because they've both written so much great material.
Fantastic. Okay, but the villains, I do kind of like how they're doing the villains in not in Zed, but in Dino Fury. Zed was I'm gonna see how that plays out before I comment on that. But I do kind of like how the villains are being handled in Dino Fury, where they're kind of competent, kind of funny, not over the top, because the whole series is not over the top. Right. So it's fun. The puns are great.
You just have to acknowledge the fact that Void Knight is Mr. Freeze. So
that's it. Yeah, that's good. And then Slither has the best puns. Oh my god, the best puns. Just
if you want puns, you got to listen to our show. You should have heard all of the pun jokes that we were making in the CO episode when we were talking about the finale.
Now, the question I have is, what happened to Zed? Like, he brings him back, he loses the control collar, and then he just disappears. Like, where did he go?
Well, he just goes and does
Well,
his own thing for a
I
little bit.
guarantee you he'll come back.
Yeah, he's gonna probably be season 2's big bad. Watch.
Oh,
Well, if you notice, because he says this, Zed does say this. He's like, this would be a different. I'm paraphrasing. This would be a different story if I had my staff. So I'm assuming he's off somewhere. He's off somewhere in the ether looking for his staff.
Yeah, because I don't. Well, his staff was. Was his staff destroyed with a Z wave? Was it?
Technically, it would have been, but they brought it back. Remember in Beast Morphers because
There
it was
you go.
part of
Yeah,
the,
there. Okay.
Yeah.
Because at this point in time, this is pre Rita Zed. So before that, where he was menacing and evil. Before they softened him up for TV because parents called in complaining about how scary he was.
Yes, because even Lord Zed must bow the knee to the moms groups. Even he cannot defeat the moms.
Nope. But yeah, no. So I want to see what I think he's going to come back in season 2's big bad or the bigger bad in season 2, something like that. But I want to see what happens the rest of Void Knight's story. I want to know what happened. I want to know what happened. I want to know. I'm curious. I'm legitimately curious.
I'm legitimately curious too, because after the when we saw the revelation that he is actually trying to revive his dead wife. Spoiler, sorry for anyone who's not watched it. Void Knight has a dead wife trapped in a cryogenic chamber, but anyway.
Well, you said Mr. Freeze, so that's the same story.
Yeah, but still, people for the uninitiated, we'll say that. When I saw that, I was like, oh,
he's
so
a bad guy, but he's not bad guy.
And the funny thing is,
he's not a totally bad guy.
Well, the funny thing is I kind of figured this would happen because you told me that you heard on another podcast that that's what his Sentai counterpart is doing.
Well, I know I said that his Sentai counterpart I had heard on another podcast because I have not seen Rio Soldier. I will say this: I have not seen Rio Soldier, but from what I have heard, his counterpart does have a wife who turns out to be an even bigger threat than he is.
Ooh, that sounds interesting. I did watch like 2 episodes of Rio Soldier, and like the first episode, like 3 people die. Like the 2 mentors die like that. I was like, oh, that's dark.
Well, there is also a Void Knight with gold armor or like a brownish bronze. So they're trying to off the Super Sentai. So maybe he becomes that. Like maybe he changes color, or
maybe.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that they've done something like that, or maybe they'll just make him a new character. They've done that too.
Like how the Night Ranger or the Battleizer Night Ranger for Dino Thunder was supposed to be a different character. Oh, that was
man, Michael, we didn't talk about the ridiculous Battleizer in space that looks like a giant action figure.
Honestly, I'm totally cool with that because like what we talked about in space was more substantive than that.
I know, but I would have had to have made fun of it just once
in the chamber for this.
Yeah.
Well, it's because a lot of the later seasons, and not that the early seasons didn't do this as well, but a lot of the later seasons, it becomes extremely obvious that everything is meant to sell toys. Like that is the key thing. That is the thing. Like everything, it is meant to sell toys. The Battleizers,
the Forever Red episode,
the cars the ancillary cars, Red Lightning and Blue
Lightning Cruiser
and Storm Blaster.
Yes.
They are totally meant to sell toys. I mean, we get
toys.
It. So do I. My all those toys of mine are at my parents' house, a couple hours away. But I'll get them eventually. But I do have them all. Just all the ridiculous weapons and Battleizers and things. All that stuff was just meant to sell toys, and it become increasingly obvious. And it is so obvious in Dino Fury how toyetic that series has become.
And which is a Toei thing. They fully embraced the toyeticness, whereas their competition over at Subaraya Productions resisted that for a long time, and now it's a little bit of a joke that they have quote unquote Bandai mandates.
Well, Subaraya is the same way, but Toei, I feel like, does it 10 times more over than what Super I.
Oh yeah.
So my side running theory is the fact that Hasbro wants to get away from Toei and everything because then they can make their own toys.
Mhm.
That would be they use other molds they already have. Like they've been making toys for years.
Mhm.
Oh,
For
yeah.
years. And I'm pretty sure they're like, we're tired of doing these toys. We want to do better toys. Or we want to do toys that we can make more money off of than these. Because look at Lightning Collection. Look
The
at that.
Zord and the Zord Ascension project that's
Oh,
coming out,
yeah,
because
yeah.
now the Zord Ascension
Oh.
project will not be tied to like Bandai and those legacy molds, because that's all Bandai was doing was
Yeah.
was reusing all those legacy molds. I think the like when you get into like the Bandai legacy stuff, those were brand new molds, but up until that point, like the DX things and like all the DX Zords and things, those are just old Bandai molds.
Yeah.
So now and this is one thing, when I heard that Hasbro was buying the series, this is one thing I thought of was, okay, so they're a toy company, they're buying Power Rangers. Okay, so we're going to get a crap ton of Power Ranger toys over the next however many long years it's going to be. And then like maybe 6 months later, the Lightning Collection shows up on shelves. So
Yeah,
makes total sense.
Just a running theory I've had for a while because Hasbro bought it, and like I know they can do toys. I know that's what they did. That's why they did the Transformers movies, is to make more toys.
Right.
And you look how well the Transformers Siege toys are selling. Like
Mhm.
the cast iron ones, like the actual iron casted original series toys are flipping going off the shelf like that, man.
Well, look how fast the reissues of the Beast Wars stuff is going
yeah.
off of
Oh,
shelves.
my God,
yeah.
that's gone.
Yeah.
Look at Star Wars Black. Oh my goodness! Like they
Yeah,
know how to
I've
make
noticed
toys.
that in particular, I don't know if there's a technical term for it, but things like the Lightning Collection, there's now, because that, which was modeled after, what is it, Marvel Legends or something, that style of action figure where it's very detailed, but very affordable. You know, with a lot of customizable, with a lot of points of articulation, a lot
Affordable
of
for
customizable,
now.
pieces. Yeah, for now. Everything's getting more expensive, but
Yeah.
that style of toy you're starting to see in a lot of things, because that model of action figure is very applicable to a lot of different things.
So the funny, but that started with Spawn. Actually, Spawn started that with their production company started doing that, where they did these super high quality toys for a little bit under like the super high quality toy like sell price, but they still weren't selling super well.
Mhm.
And then, but people wanted them. They really, really wanted them. And then you got the Marvel. This was
You're talking about McFarlane, right? That's the company.
yeah. McFarlane Productions or whatever, like did the toys, and they was doing really well. But people, the demographic for Power Rangers is us, basically, for these toys. It's us.
Yeah.
And so now we're hitting the age group where we're going to start buying these toys.
Mhm.
And so they're like, we want to make better toys for this age group. Who else did this? Oh, hey, we're doing this with Marvel. Spawn did this. It sold really well. We can do this with Power Rangers. We're doing it right now with Transformers. We can make better toys for this demographic of older people with a little bit more disposable income. And I say that with a huge grain of salt because, you know, we don't actually have disposable income. Like disposable income. Yeah, sure. Yep. I totally have that. Yep.
Yeah.
Disposable income. I mean,
exactly. The helmets, the Lightning Collection, the morphers.
He
the NFT
FaceTimed
toys.
me wearing that thing just to show
Good
it
work,
off.
Michael.
Hey, you think that's bad? Hold on. Look at that.
I mean,
that's
like
bad.
seriously, this thing is gorgeous. This thing is gorgeous, and to what Jim was talking about, you know, the demographic that these things are focused on is us. Like, we're 30-something-year-old.
You're not gonna buy that for your kid. You're not doing that. You're
right.
not.
It's like I just got in today my my 3-0
oh yeah.
my 3-0 Red Ranger with Dragon Shield.
Ooh, nice.
And on the back of it strictly says, this is not a toy, only suitable for ages 15 and above.
What?
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't even give this to a 15-year-old, honestly.
Oh yeah, no.
So the toy store I went to today in San Antonio actually had those stocked.
Really?
The 3 zeros,
Okay.
all of them, and that's pretty cool.
Well, you have to
goes your-
understand,
there goes your
Michael.
spending money.
Michael is a self-avowed connoisseur of adult toys, so.
Got me.
Some are latex and some are toys, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a funny story attached to that. So long story, like just to sum it up, when I moved into the apartment, I don't have a parcel box here. So I have to go down to the post office to pick my packages. Well, when I moved in last January, not this January, when I moved in
like
last
week.
year, when I moved in, that was at the time all my pre-orders came due. So I was making like 3 or 4 trips to the post office at a time. And one of the last times I went there, one of the clerks, she was super nice, super sweet girl. And she says, "So what are you down here picking up? What are you buying that you're down here so much for?" And I looked at her deadpan straight face. I said, "Adult toys."
That could have went a whole different direction.
That's the point.
She never asked me again. I'll tell you that.
Well, they're discreet packaging for a reason.
When I
he bought the Zord helmet for role play.
Shh, don't tell Julie.
That's like when
So who's the lucky Rita in your life?
Well, I know Julie will not listen to this podcast, so it's fine.
It's like when I went to go pick up my Ninja Turtle Power Rangers at the post office. They came in the actual Hasbro box, and it said Hasbro toys all over it. And I was like,
"Oh yeah."
I walked out of there, and I was like, man, I feel incredibly self-conscious that I'm 30 plus.
It's fine. It's fine, man.
It's when you're walking around the toy section in like Walmart with a bunch of kids.
Oh my god, that's the worst part. Yeah.
And then they're reaching for the Power Ranger toys, and I just hit them in the head
just
with
lay
the sauce about your elbow.
Dude,
you're like,
I lay
stay down.
a sweet suplex on them. Just get out of there.
It's like
Their
it's like
elbow height.
it's like when you wait for their parents to leave and you snatch it out of their hands like, "No, I was looking for that. I have adult money and you don't."
Yeah.
Just get real close to them and just rip one.
Yeah.
Like, "Argh!" And then they just stop everything and they walk away.
Well,
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, don't rip one on command because rule 1, never trust a fart.
It's true. That is true. Especially don't trust the fart after you've ate Wendy's.
Oh god. Yeah.
Most
Don't
definitely.
fart after you eat Del Taco.
Oh boy, yeah. No shit
Taco
there.
Casa. No. we can get into the bad stuff. Like that Italian place.
There you go.
But it's all this stuff is focused on us 30 something adults with adult money pretty much, and so so you get things like the Zord Ascension Project, which is like a $200 toy that will probably
NFT and now a toy, right?
Yeah. Well, I was able to get the normal version. I did not even try to get the black and gold version because that was the NFT version. So I say
NFT.
You can't
really
hear my eye roll.
Yeah, I know. So I will just say this loud and clear for anyone who's listening. NFTs. I know you'll bleep that out. So
I'm gonna cut it out. So it's gonna be awkward. Like I'm gonna say NFTs.
Right. So, but it's a $200 toy that I'll take out of the box. I'll look at it and throw it up on my shelf and never mess with it again.
You're gonna put it back in the box, put the tape back on, so you can resell it later, right?
Maybe
Keep
if
the collector value.
I have done that. Because I have scalped a few things in my past before. Don't tell Nathan because Nathan is totally against scalpers.
I feel you.
Your kind make my life a little bit more hectic. I'm just saying.
Well,
you bastard.
If I usually find like the rare things, I'll buy them and I'll send them out to people. Like basically what I paid for, and then I pay the shipping on it. So.
Yeah, actually, we started Michael and our friend Danny and I actually started a little bit of a thing earlier this year. No, it was last year. We called it #SaveTheVinyl because we were so ticked off at scalpers, particularly in the kaiju community. It was bad, dude. It was to the point where people were making memes to cope, and people had. people had photographs of people who would go to Walmart on day one when the Godzilla versus Kong toys come out, and then they would come with 3 carts, fill them up, buy a clean off the shelves before anybody got there.
Yeah.
And then go on, eBay or whatever and jack up the prices 3, 4, 5 times.
Like the GPU shortage too. Oh my god.
Yeah. So we actually kind of started doing this thing where if we walked into a store and we got lucky and found something that one of us was looking at, we're like, do you want this? Yes. And then we started saying like, hey, everybody, if you go in and you find these toys, buy them and then give them to people who will really appreciate them, give them to the kids who will really appreciate them, or sell them at cost to stick it to these scalpers because they're making everybody's lives more miserable.
Look at the Pokemon scalpers too. Oh my god. And
yeah, we call that because I'm a big collector too. Like I'm involved with a lot of like different fandoms, so I like to collect things. Like, growing up in a working class family, that it was a stretch to buy things for us as kids. Like once I got to an adult and I have adult money, I can buy whatever I want. So I'm involved in these collectors groups, primarily Godzilla and Kaiju and things. But I will typically, if I buy something, and I decide I don't like it, I'll try to sell it for what we call bro pricing, which is just basically what you paid for it. Yeah. I just want my money back, and that's it. Like I'm not out trying to scalp. I'm not trying to like scalp things. Now there have been a couple times where I've sold things higher than what I bought them for, but that's because it's like a supply and demand kind of thing. Like you're paying for the rarity at that point.
Yeah, I was about to go on a rant about how they scalped the In Space Silver Lightning collection figure.
God, that is becoming a little bit of a grail figure for me because I am bound and determined to get all the In Space figures. I have 3 of them, but good grief, that silver. Well, I have been to Walgreens in more in the last 2 months than I think in my entire life.
If you want, my buddy is a Hasbro Pulse member, and he bought me mine. And if you need one, I can let him know to get you one.
Make it happen.
And I can send it out to you.
Yeah, make it happen. Make it happen because I'm tired of scouring Walgreens and praying that it's available for more than 5 seconds. I mean, it's almost as bad as buying posters from Mondo, right, Michael?
Oh, I know. Like Mondo is hands down the worst company as far as like keeping things in stock. And they're like, well, we can't help it that there's bots buying up all of our stuff on our website. Well, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. You just don't give a shit. Yeah. Or you just don't give a crap is what it is.
I just got to the point where I get my friend in England to import all the new figures for me. So like I got
but what was, except for that what was going on a few weeks ago? I guess they were shipping without heads.
Yeah, they were like completely missing pieces.
How there's a bunch of people in Hasbro quality control who just got fired. I'm just saying
the whole thing. Yeah.
How do you ship action figures without heads?
not only a head, but like 2. Some of them don't even only come with 1.
I mean, Hasbro's quality control has been a little questionable in recent years. Like, I like to bring up the Dino Thunder White Ranger with the really awfully.
But at least they made good on that.
Yes.
And
at least they did. You're right, but still, yeah, some like those things should not be getting out the door at all. Like some people should be paying more attention. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing though. It is still a $20 to $30 toy. So to see these grown people online complaining about a $20 to $30 toy not having like super accurate paint is a little bit ridiculous because again, it's a $20 to $30 toy.
Yeah.
Like
admittedly, this is a whole podcast episode unto itself, but there is a ridiculous level of entitlement with a lot of not just Power Ranger fans, just fans of anything geeky and nerdy. I might even go so far as to say there, even in things like sports, there's a certain level of entitlement, which is dangerous territory to wade into. We've seen what that can do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at Star Wars. It's the worst fandom ever.
I've heard rumors about like Star Wars just getting real nasty with it.
Yeah,
God,
there's some people.
I have a whole rant I could go into about Star Wars fans. They are impossible to please, and they've
Mhm.
been impossible to please for
Since the
at least
70s.
25 years, I would say. And they're highly factional, and there's just all of these splinter groups that everyone is in now. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like being a Christian and finding out that there's a gazillion denominations. There's denominations of Star Wars fans. It's insane, dude.
Like the Star Wars fans, like there's like just a vehemently large amount of hate from all the fans for like the last three
like
movies.
I said,
I'm like,
no,
dude,
they just
calm
it's
down.
not just it's always popular to hate whatever has come out. And
they
it
hated
was
1, 2, and
popular to
3.
hate it was popular to hate the prequels. Now it's popular to hate Disney Star Wars. It never ends. It never ends. And it's just so what I find so terribly ironic about it is
You can tell Nathan is very passionate about
Yes.
this.
is their attitude about George Lucas. He went from being this creative genius who could do no wrong to take Star Wars away from him. He's ruining it because special editions and prequels to, oh, they're giving it to Disney. Yay, Star Wars is saved. Disney makes some movies. Give it back to George Lucas. You made your own bed, okay? I would not be surprised if part of the reason that he sold it to Disney is because he was tired of dealing with you.
To be fair, Disney also just asked them to tell them when to stop writing zeros.
Hey, look,
I don't blame him. He's going to be set for about 5 lifetimes at this point.
His children and his children's children and his children's children's children will be set. They can spend thousands of dollars a day for the rest of their life.
I actually remember, I actually saw an interview with George Lucas right after Revenge of the Sith came out, and he basically said, I've made enough money to fail for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I could just make whatever I want, and if nobody cares about it, that's fine. I've got enough money.
I do like the fact that Dave Filoni came back for The Mandalorian after Clone Wars. Like he did Clone Wars, Bad Batch, and Mandalorian. And I'm like, and Book of Boba Fett. Like he's doing all of them. And I'm like, thank you, Dave Filoni, for making this continuity so nice. And Darksaber and giving us a lot of Mandalorian backstory and the clones. So you know who does the clones voice? All the clones. This is really funny. So it's, American Dad, Klaus,
Yes.
the fish,
Yes.
does all the voices for the clones.
That's awesome.
There are whole episodes of Clone Wars where they only have to pay one voice actor. He just talks to himself.
Exactly. That dude that's job security right there. He does all the voices for the Bad Batch, too. He does all the voices for him. All of them as him as well, except for Omega. That's a whole different story.
That's awesome.
I know, right? I'm like, that guy is talented.
Did you ever see like the random facts about Star Wars, like how they got the TIE fighter noise and stuff? Like they ran like a violin bow across like an cable anchor to like a phone tower.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how, because the guy who did the Foley for Star Wars was just a genius and was doing things that no one had ever thought to do before. Like he got the laser blast sound effects by like tapping wire cables. Like pulled really tight. You just go tong tong, and he invented things that still are done today. Or to go back to something that Michael and I love, besides Power Rangers, Godzilla. Godzilla's original roar is actually a musical instrument. It was the composer came up with it.
Well, it's actually too. I think this is primarily Legendary's version of Godzilla. His roar is literally them scooting a chair across the floor.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like the portion of like the ending portion of his roar. If you listen to it, it sounds exactly like a chair, and that's what it is. It's a chair being scooted across the floor, and that's how they created the roar.
Now on the remake version, I absolutely just got chills from his roar at the airport, and I damn near slapped my coworker because he said he loved the 2001 Godzilla.
Oh, you mean 1998?
The 98 one, right? Is that the one?
The one where it's an iguana?
Yes. He said
Yeah, that's Godzilla 98. You say Godzilla 2001, and Michael and I think of something completely different.
Totally like GMK. I'm thinking GMK here.
Oh
but,
yeah.
So Billy and I went to go see the remake of Godzilla in theaters with a buddy of ours,
Sure.
and the second he's a fairly big Godzilla fan, okay, and so the second he does the atomic blast, like he starts doing the charge up, you just hear him squeal.
Oh yeah, he was.
I did that. I
And I
did
looked
that
over, I'm
too.
like,
Yeah,
I did
all
that
right
too. When I saw Godzilla 2014 and I started seeing a charge up, I audibly shouted in the theater, "Yes!"
yeah.
I'm still sour about that movie. They killed off Bryan Cranston in like 10 minutes, and I'm still sour about that.
Yeah, still.
Well,
Yeah, get in line. There's a bunch of people who are.
you know, but there's also fan theories out there that Bryan Cranston. This is like just making excuses at this point. But Bryan Cranston just would not have added anything else to the movie other than what he was there for in the first place, because that is completely a Ford Brody story from then on out.
Yeah. I've also heard one of the more interesting defenses I've heard of that decision was that by killing off a character that you think is going to be important, the movie is telling you nobody's safe.
There's that too.
Okay.
Nobody is safe.
And the fact that you don't really get to see the monsters until the very end. Like, you don't really get much of them until the very end.
Thank you. I'm glad somebody gets it.
And I get that, and it's more of a personal story that no one's safe, that everyone can die. It was really well done, and I know a lot of people were mad about it, and I'm still sour that they killed up Bryan Cranston because he's great. I love him, but it does work for the story. It does work for the movie, and that drop-in scene. Oh my god, that drop-in
The Halo
scene
jump.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Like and 2014 was a big moment for the Godzilla franchise, because at that point, the last film we had was Final Wars, which.
Final Wars is fun.
I love Final Wars. I unabashedly love Final Wars.
Final Wars is fun. It's not my favorite. But it is like that Showa era. It is that Showa era turned up to 11, if not.
They even have Zilla in it, and they kill it off in like 10 seconds, which is hilarious.
Well, also, you can't go wrong with Captain Gordon. There are two things you don't know about Earth. One is me, and the other is Godzilla.
That is excellent. Thank
I
you,
can't
Nick.
do that voice for more than
Really?
about 10 seconds.
I need you to watch this movie. I will send you a copy of this movie. It's fantastic.
Well, who are you talking to? If you're
Billy,
talking about
Billy.
Final Wars, I've seen it like 10 times at this point.
Billy needs to watch Final Wars. I saw it in college. A buddy of mine was super into Godzilla, and he made me watch it. And I was like, I don't want to watch this because up to that point, I watched the Godzilla movie, the 2098 version. I did not care for it. I was like, whatever.
I saw,
Whatever.
mind you, maybe one of the reasons I love Final Wars so much is because it got released on DVD at a very dark time in my life. I was very unhappy. And so this movie comes out, and it is a Red Bull infused just pile of,
Exactly,
I don't know, like mac and cheese that I'm just like, I have to eat this right now. This is cinematic comfort food. Is one of the most nerd-tastic things I've ever seen. Then I went and got a hold of a friend of mine and said, you have to watch this with me. It's one of the most nerd-tastic things I have ever seen. And then he watched it with me, and he's like, yes, this is glorious.
Well, I think that's why we all love the things that we love, whether it be Godzilla, Power Rangers, just whatever fandom you're involved in. To us, it's like it's comfort food. Like it gets us through like really dark portions in our life. Like Power Rangers got me through a lot of stuff too. It's like my both my parents passed away between 2018 and 2020. And so there was a lot of like personal upheaval that I was just trying to band-aid over. And I rediscovered Power Rangers, and I started like loving it again. And of course, back in 2014, 2015, I rediscovered my love of Godzilla and Kaiju. And so I've used that as sort of comfort food. Now, I will say, like, kind of what we alluded to early in the episode, like your fandom, or no, maybe I take that back. This was our in-space recording. Sorry about that.
Timing.
Yeah. Our, there are people in fandom that make things that's their complete and utter identity. But that's dangerous. That's a problem. Like when you wrap your entire identity around a fictitious around a fandom surrounding a fictional character, that can be dangerous. Now, there's nothing wrong with using fictional characters as comfort food, as touchstones to, maybe help you get through a tough time in your life, but don't make it your be all end all.
Yeah. One of the things that I have been thinking about a lot when considering this subject, and I saw a guy do a YouTube video where he was talking about how, he says, as a lot of people, including myself, do this, things like comic books are modern mythology. Well, the thing about it, though, is that classic mythology was at one point the religious beliefs of a particular country. So at one point, the ancient Greeks, they didn't just tell stories about Zeus and Apollo. They worshipped Zeus and Apollo. They thought they were real. So to call comic books a modern mythology can potentially go into a little bit of a dangerous territory. And I started realizing it's like, that's basically fandom for a lot of these people. It's replaced religion for them because we don't have the shared religious, we don't have quite have the shared religion that would form a lot of ancient cultures anymore. So that fandom is filling that vacuum, which is why, like I said, it can be dangerous because if you because things like, and I don't want to put down the things that we're talking about because, at all. I mean, if Michael and I spent 3.5 hours talking about Power Rangers in space today, okay?
I just see someone running up with someone running up with like a Diamond or something like that, Bobber, like, Dah!
Yeah. That just sounds kind of awful. But my point being, that the problem with fandom is that it can't fill the same role that that religion would do for a lot of people. It can't. It's impossible to do that, which is where I think a lot of these things like entitlement and all that, they feel like they own it and then they get to dictate everything that goes on in it. And I'm going to tell you, because I'm a creative writer myself, you can't just cater to people, because if you keep catering to people, a lot of times you're just going to get a lot of the same stuff over and over and over again. You have to give them something new, even if they don't think they necessarily want it. And that's the thing. So I firmly believe that it needs to be a conversation between creator and audience. You can't leave it entirely in one or the other, because giving too much power to audience or to creator is potentially asking for trouble. And as a creator, you need to at least be conscious of the needs and wants of your audience.
Well, look how you guys caught up on Boba Fett yet or no?
I have.
Okay, well, look how Boba Fett, where they're like, we need to not go back to Tatooine. Don't do it. We wanted something different. We want something different. And they stuck with their guns on this one, and they made it to like a crime boss show. And I think that works really well for the series.
Yeah, but unfortunately, people are complaining about it. To relate it back to Power Rangers, apparently people were like, "How dare they put Power Rangers in Star Wars with that cyborg gang?" And I'm like,
I love the cyborg gang.
And I'm like, fun. What is your problem with the cyborg gang? Are you telling me? Oh, well, what? And the thing is I've seen some videos where people talk about it. It's like, why is this a problem? Please articulate your reasons for why this is a problem instead of just spending 10 minutes saying this is awful and it's ruining Star Wars. Give me specifics. Why? Do you think it doesn't fit aesthetically or whatever? Give me something.
Look at those guys. Look at those people who bitched and moaned about the Green Ranger from Dino Fury being a lesbian. Like, they bitched and moaned about it. And I'm like, we got lesbian rocks in Steven Universe.
You know what my response to that was? She's not even the first. Did you forget about 2017 Treaty?
No, that movie.
She's just said 2017 Treaty is sitting over in a corner being a wallflower saying, "Did y'all forget about me? Apparently you did."
Well, everyone forgot about Becky G anyways. Like, I don't even hear about it.
Right.
Like, I haven't heard her music in forever. It's fine.
Right. And the thing about that is, like, it was all ridiculous. I feel like it was all ridiculous.
Yeah, I can't believe how crazy people have gone, whether positive or negative, over two girls holding hands. Good grief,
Yeah.
people!
Just-
Two girls hold
Get
hands
off
and you
the-
lose your
like,
freaking
oh
mind.
no, oh no, you're holding hands. Oh
I'm
no,
just thinking of the Joker, from The Dark Knight, where he's like, make Trini bisexual and nobody cares. Two girls hold hands in Power Rangers. Well, everyone loses their minds.
I think that the reason why
Basically,
the reason why people have glossed over 2017 Trini, and then they're solely focused on Tessariel and Izzy is because it is so explicit. It is just kind of there. And
It's actually they actually hold hands in the movie.
Yeah,
they didn't actually hold hands. Nothing was there.
Yeah, they're actually doing stuff and reputation is and representation. There we go. Is great. Like, I'm all for representation. I just feel like the whole story surrounding that particular episode could have been written a little bit better.
Yeah,
I can't begin to tell you, when I actually sat down and watched the episode, just how ridiculously overblown I felt like all the hype around it was. And I'm like, I'm sitting here watching this, and it's like, so this is the best thing in Power Rangers. Horrible sitcom shenanigans that I have seen 1,000 times before. Got it.
I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, this is somehow ending children's beliefs in everything. Okay,
right.
Whatever.
And I'm glad for the people that means so much to. I am so happy for those folks. Like, it's just another episode to me.
Yeah,
it
wasn't bad. Like, it was cheesy as all get out, but it wasn't like the worst episode of Power Rangers ever
No,
seen.
it wasn't. No, there's been worse episodes. There's been worse seasons of Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Like, I seriously don't believe two chicks holding hands is going to break anything.
If this franchise can survive Turbo and Megaforce, I think it's going to be okay.
Somehow
I think it'll be fine.
Megaforce. Somehow. Oh yeah, if they can survive that, I'm pretty sure they can survive. Not two girls holding hands for like less than 30 seconds in total, the whole season.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Like I said, whoever, to all the people that made them feel seen or appreciated and represented, great, fine. That I'm glad you guys had that moment that you guys can look back on and smile at. That's fantastic. I just don't understand the
vitriol hate for it.
The vitriol hate for it, one, and the overhypedness of it. Now, it is great that there is now officially representation in Power Rangers.
Main canon series.
Within the main canon of the series. That's a big deal. I recognize that. But, again, that as a straight white dude, that means more. That means less to me, and I don't mean this. I don't mean this to sound mean. I'm not trying to sound mean or disrespectful, but it doesn't mean as much to me as it does, say, someone like my sister who is gay.
Well, you can't see it through their eyes. You can't. Right. You just physically can't see it through their eyes. Right. You just have no idea. And you can't process it. We had a creator on, Clayton, who does Neon Lights. Mm-hmm. It's a fan based series, and he got his actors to come on. He's a gay white dude, and he can't see how the black his main lead's a black guy. He's like, I can't see how he sees the world at all. I just cannot see it. I never can, never will. I want he got him to come and help him write the character.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think it necessarily has to be limited to demographics. I don't think you have to work to see the world the way just every individual person sees it, because we're all going to see it differently. It doesn't matter what our demographics are. I mean, you could look at, we're 4 white guys here. We all see the world differently.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It's fine.
Yeah. I'm just saying. The danger that you run into is when you start treating groups of people monolithically. That's where you start getting into dangerous territory. So I think it needs to be on an individual basis.
Where it was the hate everyone equally kind of.
That's how some people deal with it. Yes,
look,
it does work.
I am on record of saying I love my animals more than I love people most of the time. So
true.
That's I love my cats more than I love people most of the time.
Guy.
Yeah, so
I am.
I
This
see.
track.
So let me get this straight, Michael. In case the house is on fire, you're saving the cats first, and I, on the other hand, am going to have to haunt you like a Psycho Ranger ghost. I see how this works. Got it.
Well, you kind of fit the description. You're fine.
Well, you're more.
I will
you're-
become the biggest thorn in your side as a real life Phantom Ranger. You will not know what to do with yourself.
It's like, imagine this face when you touch yourself.
You're more of a ferret, Nathan. So
He smells weird.
I'm
makes a lot
not
of
just
noise.
I'm not just a ferret. I am Flame Ferret. Okay.
You are the ferret.
oh, that is okay. That there is so much that I can unpack with that, but I'm not going to.
Exactly. I was setting you up. If you wanted to go there, you can.
I'm not
go
going
there.
to. I'm not going to because I am a respectful co-host.
Only when you want to be.
But yes, if the house,
Come the frick on, dude. When we got to Astronema, I said, go ahead, go on, pick on me all you want. It's like, all right, Astronema simp. I'm like, no.
if the house was on fire, say Nathan and I were roommates. The house was on fire. He was still asleep. I could only get out within the next like 10 minutes. I would track down my cats and maybe the most expensive toy that I own and leave.
Like, he's just being straight up with you, man. It's all good. At least it's honest.
I've just 2 words for you, Michael. Obnoxious poltergeist.
2 words for you, Michael. It's on you, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't
He's
believe
gonna
in
track
ghosts,
you
so it's
down.
okay.
Ah, there you go.
It doesn't matter if you don't believe in ghosts. The ghosts believe in you.
Now,
you know,
you-
man.
And by believe in you, I mean we're gonna tie all your shoelaces together and put buckets of water on your door. The coldest possible water.
You know, I tell you what, I will keep a little packet of salt in my pocket around me at all times.
yeah.
Like all supernatural style, and just break that bad boy out anytime I feel your cold, stinky breath trying to haunt me. Then I will put that salt ring around myself. So there you go, sir.
We should get like a Ouija board and then channel Nathan, and then when he's on the line, we just put him on hold and leave.
Stuck there forever.
Yeah.
It's like, why were you guys picking up the phone? What?
Yeah.
It's like, it'd be like, why were you guys
So now that you said the roommates, would twins, like 2 twins and the mother, would they be called womb mates?
get out right now? That was bad.
Hey, Michael, should I reveal one of my favorite puns from our Zeo episode?
Yeah, do it.
Sure,
You
go
have
for
to.
it. Go for it.
This is personally my favorite. We're talking about that absolutely ridiculous finale. And I said, clearly in this scene, King Mondo represents big tech.
That was bad.
I
Okay,
feel
that was
offended by
bad.
that one. All right. You want to wrap it up, Billy?
Yeah, I do want to say this before we wrap things up. I do want to thank you guys for having us on. You are the first Ranger podcast that you have let these 2 new guys on the block come on, and it's much appreciated.
Dude, we're the new guys too, man.
Yeah.
That's what it is. We're the new guys, and I see it as we bring everyone else up with us. We don't. We're gonna bring everyone else up with us. We got this. We're going to the top, and everyone below us is gonna be right with us.
I feel like I
Right
should
with
be
us.
walking around with like Coke bottles on my fingers and like tapping them, be like, "Power trip, come out and play."
Whoever's the last one to make it to the top gets eaten by the bear. It's fine.
There you go.
Wait.
No, this is a Power Ranger podcast. So it would have to be a bear monster.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. Oh no, it would be the bear monster from Big Bad Beetleborgs.
Oh
There we
yeah.
go.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Never heard that.
And no, I'm sure the monster's name is Unbearable.
We had a guest on for Western Strike, and I was like, "You being racist against Flabber? He's super white."
You could tell this episode went 0 to 100 real quick.
Oh, hey, I'll give you this. At least you're better at puns than Nathan.
Okay.
Shut your mouth, sir.
Do you kiss your mother with that mouth?
Yeah.
No,
What?
that's weird.
Well, okay, so to help land the plane, yes, to second what Nathan just said. Thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure talking with you on this show. Like it's been fun. We're only like, I think at the time of this recording, we're only like 3 episodes in. Well, 4 if you count the intro.
The
episode.
intro, yeah.
Yeah, 4 if we're at the intro episode. This is just a passion project, and we just we just enjoy the fact that we get to talk to people about the stuff that we love, and we just appreciate it. So if you guys are good, I guess we can do shameless plugs.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right, Nathan, if you want to go first, since it is your spiritual gift and all.
Oh, as I have so much I could talk about, and at this point Michael's heard it so many times he could do it for me.
Do you want me to?
He
No.
could be your translator.
I guarantee you I could do it better.
We're saving that for April Fool's Day. We'll trade places then. I don't know. I'm totally making crap up. But no, yes, I'm Nathan Marchand, a writer and podcaster. I guess I'll throw that on there. I'll do the writing stuff first because I don't talk about that stuff as much as I feel like I should. But I have an author website. NathanJSMarchand.com. Yes, I have 2 middle initials for my 2 middle names, and NathanMarchand.com was already taken. And when I was trying to get those domains, I'm going to find that guy. And I'm going to feed him to the monster of the week. So... so you can go check out my stuff there. That website is in desperate need of being updated, but it's a good place to find out about my books and my other writings. I write for Kaiju Ramen, Michael's magazine, so I'm going to plug that right there. By the way, I don't know if this is coming out in time, but if it does, anybody listening to this, please go support Kaiju Ramen on Kickstarter if at all possible. I don't know. The Kickstarter's done in 3 days at this point, so
yeah,
I don't know.
This episode will probably be out well before
We can make an announcement or something like that on our Instagram or something.
Yeah. There you go. So yeah, go support Kaiju Ramen while you still can.
We are currently $3 away from 10,000.
When their goal was 6,000.
When our goal was 6,000.
Send me links and stuff, okay?
Yeah.
Sure.
So there's that, and then also I basically run a podcast empire at this point. It's a little insane. So my flagship show is the Monster Island Film Vault, a podcast seeking entertainment and enlightenment through tokusatsu. It's about film appreciation. It's both, and when I say entertaining and enlightening, I mean that. So you get, as Michael pointed out, you get audio drama and you get academic analysis. And I know it doesn't sound like that should work, but I found a way to make it work. I don't know how I made it work, but I made it work. And so, yeah. And I do actually have some Power Ranger stuff slated to come along in the new season, and partly thanks to Michael, because he's one of my patrons, and he requested an episode dedicated to Green with Evil. So we will be diving headlong into that as a little bit of a tie-in with the Power Trip, because it's very easy to spend a whole podcast episode just talking about that 5-parter. And then my other show is Henshin Men, a podcast that celebrates Japanese superheroes and their high-flying and high-kicking adventures, which I co-host with Michael and I's co-host in common, because Common Writer. And dog. I made the dog angry. But anyway. So Travis Alexander, and so that's all about Henshin heroes. So currently I've been doing some one-off episodes because Travis needed some time off, but we go through a couple episodes of a Henshin Hero TV series, and we're currently going through the original Kamen Rider, and with plans to branch out and go in some other directions. We are seriously considering doing some Sentai, actually, after we're done with Kamen Rider. So relevant to all y'all's interests. And well, we've already talked about the Power Trip, so I will let Michael handle that.
Well, my name's Michael. Of course, I am the host of the Power Trip podcast, a journey through the Power Rangers franchise, where we just, in broad strokes, appreciate the love, or the wonder and majesty that is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers franchise and all of its goodness. We do things season by season. I know a lot of Ranger podcasts. They talk about them episode by episode or in episode blocks or episode chunks. We decided to talk about them in broad strokes, where we examine the Ranger teams, the themes, the villains, and even some of the more the deeper thematical elements throughout each season. I also am one of the co-hosts of our flagship podcast, Kaiju Weekly. We publish episodes every Wednesday, where we cover the news, and we just appreciate the giant monster genre from a very accessible perspective. I'm also the co-creator of Kaiju Ramen Magazine. Shameless plug. My magazine, we are a magazine we publish quarterly, and we celebrate the giant monster genre and the fans that love it. You can find out more about that project at kaijuramenmedia.com, and you can find out more information about all of our podcasts at kaijuramenmedia.com/podcasts, and you'll find links there to everything that we're involved in, the Henshin Men, Kaiju Weekly, and the Power Trip. So it's a lot of fun. And again, thank you guys so much for letting us come on and have this conversation.
I'll make sure all the links here are going to be in the description for everyone.
Yeah, and if you want, we'll send you our social media links as well if you want to add those.
Social media. You want to plug your social media now or no?
I can do that. You can follow me on Twitter at NathanMarchand7. The podcast is at the Monster Isla 1. That's for the Film Vault, and Henshin Men, I believe, is Henshin Men Pod. I haven't looked at that handle in a long time. And there's also a Facebook page for myself as an author, and also for the podcast for the Film Vault. And then the Film Vault also has a corresponding Facebook group called the Markalite Lounge.
Okay.
If you want to join that.
Send me all the links. I'll put them all in the description.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, we also have a Facebook group that we started for the Power Trip podcast called Power Rangers Legacy. It's not strictly there to promote the podcast. We do want to encourage folks to get in there, have conversations, and just share their love of the franchise. You can find out more about the Power Trip on Twitter at the Power Trip Pod. It is the Power Trip Pod, right, Nathan?
Yes.
I can't remember. So it's the Power Trip Pod on Twitter. We don't have an Instagram yet. We don't have any.
I do have an
media.
Instagram for the Film Vault. I will say that. Yeah.
But you can find out. All of our socials are on the website. You can find it there. It's cool. It is what it is. So I hope I'm not forgetting anything. I feel like
I think we've covered enough, dude. We've gone on long enough.
I think I'm forgetting something, but it's fine.
Dude, like, can we just? I mean, as much as I know we love it, we have been podcasting for at least half the day, if not longer. So
Yeah.
So you've been talking half the day. Okay, just talking for half the day. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a chore. It's a chore for sure. It's a chore.
Well,
It's a labor of love.
thanks again for listening to this episode of Zeo to Hero podcast. If you definitely like what you hear and want to keep up with us, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Zeo to Hero. We are on TikTok at Z2H Pod, and we have a website of zeotohero.com.
Huh? Wait. Why is this folder empty?
Is it still recording?
Because we're recording now.
Why did you send? I was just. Oh.
So you have it. God.
Oh, got it.
What
I was
makes me
like,
got
are
it?
there
See
show
what I-
notes that I need?
Come on. Do you understand now? Like, do you understand now what I have to deal with?
Dude, I'm
I
assistant
thought they
admin.
were sending me show notes, you a-hole.
No, we don't do those. Come on.
No, we don't do show notes. They don't do no. They're like us. They don't do show notes.
Not at all.